Hello? Looks like the stream is working. Hello everyone and welcome to the 13th live stream here on this channel. Let's just wait a few moments, I would say, until some people join. Quick as always. Hi there, Dara's Art Studios. Nice to meet you. Today the stream is kind of an unusual time, I believe. I used to only stream, when is it usually? Let's see. I would have started already like 4 hours ago, or it would be in around 6 or 7 hours. Today is kind of a little bit different. Hi there. Hi there, everybody. All right. This here, what you see right now, I've already worked on it, but I want to continue my work on this project here today. And you might say, well, this is already very far into the project, so what am I going to do? I'm not very happy with the proportions of this character here. I have here my my concept art, my drawing. This is actually a project from 2 years ago. I don't know if you remember it, if you were around on my channel at that time, but I was planning on making a tutorial on how to model this character. Unfortunately, I didn't have the time and everything to do it, but I still have the design and it kind of looks cool, so I want to come back to it. But if you compare these two, the mood is very different, and the proportions are different. She looks, I guess, a bit younger than here. She looks kind compared to here, where it's more of a serious expression. I didn't get it quite right, and while it doesn't look bad, I think I want to try and almost start over. I will be reusing a bunch of parts from here and there, but just try to get closer to this. Oh wow, now we have a bunch of people joining the stream. Hello everyone. Thanks for stopping by. Before I'm getting started on this sculpt, actually, I was thinking about showing you all the work that I've done in this month. And if I get to it, I'll soon do a short video about that as well, but let me quickly go through it. So what's kind of exciting was that I had a little job that I was working on. So I was commissioned to work on 4 characters for a project. And the client was kind enough to allow me to show you the characters. Of course, I can't share much about the story and what the characters are in particular, but I can show you the characters, and I think they turned out pretty well. And you can also see like how I improved, how I progressed throughout the project. So I want to quickly guide you through that. The first character that I worked on, that was at the beginning now of February. I think I started on February 8th, and it took me 1 week per character. I don't have color on this one here, but you see that this is already the final version. I first sculpted it in ZBrush. I then went to Blender and did retopology. This is what you can see here, a little bit at least. And finally, yeah, I sculpted back in the details so that I could export a height map that could then be used in Blender. Anyway, so that's the first character that I worked on, and it was already a good start for the project in my opinion. And moving on then, the next character that I worked on for this project, let's see, is it this one? Okay, this is again the final model. Yeah, perfect. So I don't have a good matcap to show it. Anyways, this is the second character that was in the series. Again, kind of a similar story about the whole character. I mean, I got the design, and I was asked to model the character. And I again started modeling the whole thing in ZBrush, same progress. What's really good, useful, and what makes the whole process easier is when you make a bunch of characters for the same project. It is very easy to reuse the same geometry. So once I had a body sculpted, I could reuse it and just change the proportions. Similar with the hands and, you know, the shoes are actually the same in these two models in particular. I also reused the hair from one of my previous projects actually, because it was exactly what I wanted. And you can see again that I worked quite a bit on the topology as well. Okay, but moving on now, there's a third character that actually turned out, at least technically, even better than the previous two. You can really see now how my style starts to, technically it starts to improve a little bit. What's different here in particular is that I completely changed the topology of the face. Let's switch into this mode so that you can see it. I spent, I think, 5 hours almost on just figuring out the most effective topology to do this geometry. I also did the hair once again properly, a new hairstyle. I modeled new hands for this character, which again I can reuse, and I'll probably be reusing today as well. And I did not have feet really. Oh no, actually I did have feet, but I did not have them in low poly. So I had to reuse one of my older sculpts of feet, and I would like retopologize them and make them compatible for this project. So this one also turned out really well in my opinion. And I also again did the same workflow as in first sculpting in ZBrush, not like I didn't include the hands for example, but then I would go into Blender and combine everything to make a low poly base mesh, and then back in ZBrush I added back the details. Here you can see now with colors and textures everything. And it was also at this point where I figured out that ZBrush actually has quite some cool rendering features with some, what is it called, wax preview on. You can see something like subsurface scattering in the skin, so it really makes it look beautiful in my opinion. So, and all of them are, by the way, rigged, and even the face can move, but that's like in Blender. I will show that another time maybe. Let's see what the chat is saying. Thanks. I don't do ZBrush tutorials at the moment. I wonder if I should. I'm not super confident in my ZBrush skills. I know enough to do what I do here, but if I go through the tools here, there's so much I'm not aware of yet. For example, in the masking, if I go through it, I can tell what all these things do by the name, but I've never used them, and I'm pretty sure that all of these could be useful in the progress of making characters. But you know, if I make a tutorial and I tell you the hard way and then there's actually simpler ways, I would feel sorry. So I'm not sure. Maybe I should just study more and then get into making tutorials. Yeah, thanks for saying that. I'm glad my Blender tutorials were useful. Jin Sla. I don't know how to pronounce your guys' names, but anyways, yeah, in Blender I'm way more confident. I've actually studied a lot about, you know, just all the features in Blender, so I think I know the most efficient ways for almost everything. But let me show you a bit more. I actually did so much in this past month. I almost feel like the first half of this stream will just be showing models that I worked on. I was talking about the hand, right, that I made. This is actually the hand that I made in a separate file. And it was so difficult actually, because hand is so hard to simplify, because all the simplified shapes even that you see in it. Hello? Did I lose connection? I think I'm back. Sorry. No, I have like a unstable internet connection. It's kind of unfortunate, but... Hello. Hey there. Okay, sorry. I hope it doesn't happen more often, but it might happen actually. I just hope that I'll be back within a short time when it happens again. Anyways, this is the hand, and what was difficult is that you see how it has kind of this curved shape and it's all cylinders, and with these kind of shapes you can always see one side. For example, if I work on it here, I only see what's on top but not what's on back. And in order to make sure that this is actually like cylindrical and even, I always have to look from here, this side, but it's very hard to tell. So it's just, in a general sense, a very difficult shape to work on, in my opinion. And I had this actually in high resolution. This is just the final remeshed version. That is actually not even the final retopology. I did on top of that a manual retopology to fix the geometry, very particular, the way I wanted it to be. I mean, okay, sure, thanks for asking. Here's the topology, but that's just generated. So wait, let me show you the one that I made afterwards. That will be a bit better. What's Marcia? Oh, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce the names here. Soon after I get my new PC done, I'll start practicing more. Definitely, go for it. I wish you all the best. How to make clothes? Yeah, I don't think I can make a tutorial because I'm really bad at it still, but I can tell you, I actually am going to work on the sculpt here, and towards the end I'll be showing that today in the stream. Here's the hand, by the way, for the one who asked about the topology. Fontade. Yeah, thanks for asking. Here's my final topology for the hand. I like to have, you see how I'm using eight vertices around each finger? That's kind of the minimum amount that you need to make it an even circle. If I have more, you know, things go out of control when I merge them here together at the hand. But by using this kind of way of connecting them, I figured out that it would work quite well. And here I'm only having a little change in topology to emphasize the folds and the way the hand kind of moves. And finally I had to do a little bit of cheating here in order to close and connect it with the arm evenly, in order to not have too many polygons here on the arm. It would not have really been necessarily here to have a triangle, but well, it didn't really hurt as well, so. I guess many of you joined kind of a bit later. The characters here that I'm showing are part of a project that was commissioned to me. I work on 4 characters for this one project, and unfortunately I cannot share more about the details for this project, but the client was kind enough to let me show you the characters and to tell you about how I make them. So that's really good, because now I can show you all the fancy work that goes into making a character like that. By the way, these sculpts increasingly took longer and longer. I did increase my quality, but I also had lots of motivation because things were going well. So this one took really the most amount of time. Oh, by the way, if you're interested, you can always in you know, commissioning or anything, you can always send me a mail. But I need to tell you quickly that I'm still studying, so I can only accept work in my holidays, which is in February and March, as well as August and September. So it's the best if I'm contacted somewhere around June or like December time, so that we can like make a good schedule that works for everyone. But anyways, just contact me and we can talk about that. I hope you guys like the characters so far. I don't use C spheres anymore. I think it's a good way to start though. I usually start with a sphere in ZBrush and I dynamesh the whole thing, and then I do retopology manually. Or, well, I might do Z retopology, what is it, the Z remesher first, and generate a sort of fine mesh, and then I do manual retopology in Blender. One more thing I wanted to say. What was it? Yeah, but I have now, I actually shared this on Patreon too. There is is it this one, Simplify? Yeah, here. I made this body a while ago. Let's see. Which is just the standard kind of human proportions, in this case female, but it's very easy to change the proportions to fit for a male character as well. So what I'm doing these days, and what I will be doing afterwards for the video about this character here, on the left, I will also be using this sculpt and just use a big move brush and, you know, adjust the proportions. And because it's split up in like so many parts, I can very easily go in and, you know, change whatever I want. I can make the hip thinner, wider, whatever. And this is ZBrush, by the way, because the question always comes up. So modeling every single part from scratch really takes a lot of time, so I guess it makes very much sense to reuse parts very efficiently. However, I think it's the responsibility of a good sculptor to keep improving the models that he works off from. So this is my current model, for example, but I just remade my hands that I keep using. I will eventually make a new base mesh for my sculpts as well. So, wow, so many comments. Thanks. If you're interested in using this model, by the way, you can. It is like I have this Patreon now, which the link is in the description of this stream too. I have it set up in a way where you can, I mean, if you're interested anyways, join kind of the community for $4 a month, and you will get access to pretty much all the characters that I can share. So I have right now there, I think 11 characters or so from the past. There is like 10 in one post at the very beginning, and then there is throughout the post like 3 more, I think. And you can download them like through Patreon. So feel free to do so if you're interested. Let's see. That's still not all I have to show for this month. Well, the other one I showed already. Let's go to this one. I worked this one out, the one I showed at the beginning, but I will be remaking it today. So let's get back to that later. These are kind of a little bit more boring, but anyways, let's show them, just so you see what else I do. I wanted to do a asymmetrical sculpt to study a bit anatomy, so I did this one. I didn't really know where I was going with the pose. I just started and twisted the body, and it just kind of turned out this way. But thinking about, you know, modeling the clothes, it kind of got too messy. I felt like, you know, actually it would have been easier if I would have had it sculpted and with the clothes in a standing pose, and then I would have posed it. So this was not maybe the best approach, because how am I supposed to add like all the clothes here now? Seems kind of difficult. So I just kind of left it there and moved on. The next one is kind of funny, maybe, I don't know. I wanted to do some kind of more expressive character. I just had watched a show where they're vampires, so I kind of didn't, by that inspired, I did this character here, which I call the Italian vampire. But yeah, enjoyed making that anyways. I think this is kind of a skill that I want to work a lot on in the future. I'm kind of getting good now at one specific kind of character, which, well, all the previous ones were like, but I think it's time for me to expand the characters that I do, and do more characters like this that kind of show more personality and fit various characters anyways. And is that about it? Maybe. I think I can show you this one too, but that's the last one. It's just a foot. Anyways, this is also one of the elements that I reuse for characters. And makes it easy. I mean, I don't have feet actually coming off up so often, because usually characters have shoes. But in one of the characters that I worked on, I had like she was wearing flip-flops, so I had to model feet too. Alright, well, that took surprisingly long. I spent 20 minutes on just going through the models that I made this month. But I hope it was informative and everything. So let's go back to this one then. Alright, so is there any question, by the way? Let me quickly see. Okay, Bilal Horror says, "Man, I want to say too much things, but now I can I can only say thanks. What I learned. Thank you for saying that. I'm really happy that my videos help people. When I made them, I was really worried if that would even be watched by anyone, but apparently they are really useful. And if it gets people started, that's like the greatest." Let me quickly read through the next story here. It's kind of longer, so I'll be quickly reading it for myself. Interesting. I've actually never heard of this. What is it called? Idiosyncrasy. So the person in this comment is saying that it's difficult to stay focused. It is a very difficult thing. I don't even think that I mean, like, even for everybody else, I think that's a huge issue to struggle with. I kind of have this, what should I say, thought diary that I keep where I just, make usually audio recordings of thoughts that go through my mind. And I was actually bringing this up in one of my recent posts in there, where I was thinking that in order to get good at art and to make it successful and everything, kind of stability is very important. And actually, I'm trying to avoid like huge amounts of motivation and what do you call it, euphoria at once, because they will make me feel really excited and I'm gonna do it. I'll get good at 3D. I'll start modeling here, by the way, in the meantime. And the problem with that is that very quickly that can turn into the opposite feeling, and it just leads to demotivation when you first have high expectations through your great feelings, and then you kind of get disappointed because you can't reach it quickly enough. So what I try to do is almost to keep myself always on a calm kind of mood. So I try to be calm about process. I try to not what should I say, to think about it more as something serious, something not to be enjoyed, just work, and think about why it is so important to me. For example, it's kind of a very long story. Like, what do we make art for anyways? It's kind of getting to that question again, but I feel that that what we can achieve with art is entertaining other people, and or at least what I want to do is to make art to like improve the life of the people around me in some way. I mean, for example, you could communicate through art, which would allow you to, convey a message that might help people to figure something out in their life. You can also just do comedy or entertainment and, just have people enjoy their life through your work. But that's why, I believe that we shouldn't really try too hard to learn art and 3D through like a huge amount of passion and motivation and everything. I think we should try to focus more on why we're if this is fulfilling for us to do. So for the person who commented, I was just thinking that maybe you can think about like in a logical way why this is something that you want to be doing in your life, and maybe this will help you to kind of keep doing it and just think that you want to reach there. But on the same thought, I also think that like artists should be, I mean, that's kind of a negative way of putting it. I mean, I'm struggling with that thought a bit myself, but is art really the thing that we want to do? Oftentimes, there are artists who just accidentally get, I mean, okay, that sounds a bit weird now, but accidentally get good at art, and they just keep doing it because they're good at it already. because why would you want to give up on, you know, such an advantage that you have? For example, if your goal in life is to stand in front of many people, to entertain people directly, with art you can never be on a stage, I think, and be standing in front of thousands of people like dancers or musicians or actors do. So if that's kind of the vision, then it's kind of difficult to achieve that with art. So it's like following a different goal might also become like the more reasonable answer. But in any case, if we think really about what we want to achieve in our lives, and it seems reasonable and really the one thing that we really want to keep doing, then I think motivation will keep coming back. And even if it's not there, we'll keep doing it. It's not like I really enjoy doing all of this every day. I enjoy it for most of the time, but there's often times where I just feel like, oh, I have to do it. So let's get it done for today as well. Sorry, give me a second. Let's move on a little bit. I'm just reading the comments. Okay, if anybody wants to share links, by the way, I was just seeing that someone wants to share something. You can post them, but they won't show up in the chat. But I can approve them to show up. So if I see somebody posting something that they want to share with everyone, feel free to do so. I'll quickly take a look on my other screen and make it visible for everyone. But okay, let me quickly explain what I'm doing here, then I'll move on with the story about art. I have this model here that I talked about before, and I want to get the proportions this time close to what I have here. So I'm taking this and kind of adjusting it to here. I'll need narrow shoulders and a bunch of other changes, so I'll just be going through that a little bit here. Alexander, I wish you all the best with that. I have one question though for you. I mean, if you say you struggle with finding like motivation or like staying motivated, let's say, why do you still keep thinking, why do you want to come back to art? Why do you still want to do it? I'm kind of curious about that. Since something apparently keeps you, makes you come back to it over and over. And it's more of an, in the moment you just don't have the energy to kind of sit down and practice again. Hoy Rich was saying, what if someone wants to make cool things? Well, I think in that case, it's the best if you think about what's really cool to you. Because everything can be cool, and that's kind of also a quite daunting thought to think about, because if you think about it, everything in life can be fulfilling almost if you make it like, if you think about it to be fulfilling. For example, I mean, we can be working in a small store, I don't know, in some remote, very local city, and be enjoying our lives just as much as living in a big city and being surrounded by many people. So just making cool things can really be anything if you think of it as cool. But if you can define it more, as in, you know, I think that planes are super cool, then it's clear you want to go into planes and you want to design planes. I don't know what it is exactly, but being very specific. And it's not something that can be decided oftentimes in a day. But I think many of these questions require progress to make progress. Like progress to, yeah, that doesn't make much sense. It requires progress to find things out. For example, all these things, I would not have been able to find it out if I would have not just tried it. So it's not possible really to just find out the answer and then do it correctly. You first have to, well, it always happens that while you're working on it, you figure out new things and the plan will change for sure. But that's not a bad thing. And it doesn't really mean that we're being inefficient as well. It just means that we're learning. And getting back to Alexander's story quickly, because there are things that I want to make. But the motivation only starts for a bit, and after it fades, I must feel down. It's difficult to say. I think another strategy that might be good is to just bring into an environment that sort of forces you to do it, as in going to art school. I know that's kind of a big topic. Everybody keeps talking about, do you need to go to art school or not, and what is it that you can learn at art school. But one thing that's undoubtedly pretty good about art school is that there will be people around you who are all motivated, or at least you can decide to hang out with the people that are motivated and want to get better at art. And that will, well, while you have fun at doing so, it will allow you to invest time into like a hobby, an interest or whatever. So I guess if it's difficult for you to stay focused, going to art school is another option. But I have to say that it still requires a person to, like, when you go to art school or any other place, you still have to be, motivated to make things become better for your art career. So you have to actively reach out to the people who are good at art there and to communicate actively with the people who will help you get better. It's not taking all the work from you. And I've never been to art school, so actually I have no idea. I just imagine that that's how it would work. Hi Chewy. Hey D-Jab. Thanks for joining the stream, everyone. In the first half of the stream, I was showing off a bunch of characters that I worked on in the past month. So if any one of the people who joined recently are interested, feel free to go back and take a look. I also talked a lot about the workflow that I do. And as for this Base Smash, it is on Patreon for all the members. So if you're interested, feel free to check it out. The link is in the description. And what I'm doing right now is, where is it? I want to remake this character here. I actually modeled it already, but I was not happy. So I'm making a remake of this character, starting out with the Base Smash and kind of getting the proportions right. And we'll see from there where this project goes. I feel like the shoulders are still too wide. Oh, thanks, Dijab, first of all. I'm really glad you enjoy the streams. And I'm so impressed, actually. 62 people are watching. That's the highest number of people I ever had here. It would be a lot scarier if you guys were sitting in front of me. I mean, I'm always fascinated by this feeling. I'm just sitting here alone in a room talking to myself, and actually there are so many people listening. That's really funny. Anyways, glad you're enjoying it. I very much encourage everybody to open up your Photoshop or ZBrush or Blender and to work along. I'll try to talk about stories that you can just listen to. I mean, if you always have to look, it might be quite boring. You can like look at the project, how it's going every now and then, but it's progressing slowly, I guess. What's the other thing? And Frost Drive, I just wanted to quickly comment on your comment too. He watched, or she, I don't know, all the 40 videos from the modeling series, and I almost want to give a reward to the people who manage it throughout all those 40 videos, because it's like 10 hours of videos. Wow. Yeah, so to all of you who made it through the what is it, the long tutorial series that I have. Congratulations, you really have my respect. ZBrush, yeah, it's ZBrush. Okay, Alexander, let's move on. I like your questions though. I kind of enjoy talking about these sort of things. Kind of hard to answer often, but anyways, let's see. Single object or separate objects for animating a character. I only do single object, but keep seeing meshes separated when I import other people's work. Good question. I wonder if there's actually a better or worse. I can tell you this much. When you have separate objects, it's kind of a hassle when you apply things like modifiers or materials, because if the software doesn't support it, you might have to select like all the objects individually and apply the same settings. So I prefer to keep it just all together. But I think there is also a little differentiation to be made between characters for games and for animation. Because if it's an animation, you don't really have an issue with performance, or and you might want to go in and change the model specifically for individual scenes. So in that case, maybe separate objects are better. However, if you're working on a game and the character is usually going to appear as the whole at once and there's not much difference, why not just join everything? And mirrored meshes, I think, should be applied, the mirror modifier should be applied before you go into game engines anyways, because textures might not be the same, so you will have to make UVs that are not mirrored. So I prefer keeping everything in one mesh, to answer quickly your question. But as always, it's kind of like two-sided. There might be situations where it makes more sense to keep it separate. I can imagine, for example, if you have a game and your character has kind of effects added to it, or the face has, how should I explain it? If there's kind of meshes that show up and disappear separately, you might have to separate it into objects. That's when it makes sense. When the settings for the object will be most definitely different between those. And I will also here be merging all of this soon. I'm just keeping it separate for now because I'm adjusting the proportions, but I almost feel like, actually I should merge them now. Let's do that. Which head do I want? This is not the right head. I actually can start importing a head quickly, I assume. I will be reusing the head from here though, so, but I'll make changes. Let's see. We'll get to that. Where am I? Here. Let's just start merging that, I suppose. I want to merge it and then make a few more changes in rough. Oh, I'm glad that some people remember the character. I've been talking about this one 2 years ago on this channel. The project kind of failed, unfortunately, but some people might remember. Okay, so I merged them down here with merge visible, and here's something I didn't know for a long time. You actually have to switch the tool here. This will be the merged version. That's where it is. It's still separate parts. So what I like to do here is to quickly assign polygroups to all the individual parts that will be useful later. So under polygroups, I press auto groups. Now everything is separate. And polygroups just help me at some point. For example, if I have to move brush and I just move around, everything moves with it, right? But I could go to brush auto masking. Wait a second, does it work here? No. No, what you can do, that's different. Never mind. But you can, with Control-Shift, press on an object and kind of isolate it, which is useful. And that will also work after you dynamesh it, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, I was thinking we need to change a little bit more the proportions here. Because my previous version of this character looked just a bit too realistic with the proportions, so I kind of want to get more stylized, even more thinner, but it's always difficult because I keep overdoing it. Maybe it's fine as it is. I guess we'll only know when we try clothes, putting on clothes. Okay. Let's see if I can answer some questions in the meantime. I am... Oh wow, so many comments I didn't see. Sorry. Wait, what? Gabriel? You're right behind me? I don't see anyone. 3D is... I'm in a transition. I would still call it my hobby, but I try to make it my work. But it will still take a while. It's kind of a very slow transition. And I'm slowly learning about all it takes to make this a business. Oh, actually, okay, that will take a time. I have another story that I want to share. I told you before, right, how for me at least, the whole art and why I'm still motivated to do all of this, how it connects to for me, the meaning in life, how I want to just make the life of others better. This is why I'm making art, pretty much. And so in that sense, I was thinking now, does making characters actually connect to improving the life of others? And it doesn't really seem to do so, because I mean, people don't look at characters and are like, wow, that's so cool. But if you think about a concert, maybe in comparison, people love concerts and music. Like if you're a musician, you can make people so happy. So how can my characters do the same thing? And kind of the sad truth to that is that me alone, as just a character artist, will likely never be able to do that, because characters alone just are kind of meaningless. However, in combination with a story, in combination with music again, we can make movies, and movies are amazing. Everybody loves movies. So in order to make my efforts kind of pay off in the end, I would have to learn everything from story writing to music to whatever, programming, rendering, simulation. And I do learn a lot about all these things because they seem necessary to me. However, you would need to be almost the best in all of them in order to actually make it good. A good product that people would want to watch. So it seems anyways pretty much impossible to do this on your own. So you need a team, pretty much, because only when you being the best in characters combine your strengths with the one who is the best in stories but cannot make characters, then the two together are able to make something great happen. Now the next question kind of comes up through that is, but how do you get people to work together? Because everybody has different interests, everybody has different motivations. And I feel like the answer to that is simply money, because the only thing that everyone wants is money, which is kind of sad. But I mean, imagine you're just, you know, pitching an idea to a bunch of artists, and they are, you know, even if they like the idea, in the end they have to live somehow, so they will have to make money. On the other hand, if you give everyone, if you allow everyone to have a word in the project would go into, I don't know if it would go well, it would just go into too many different directions. And And there's so many choices to make, it's just not really doable. But if you have money involved, it's a lot easier, you know, you can decide as a team, and people will, you know, sometimes more easily give up their thought and, you know, just work for the good of the whole project. Although it should always be, everybody should do the best in a company to make everybody happy, but regardless, money is kind of, in my opinion, the most realistic option there. Which means that in order to make my art pay off, I would have to find a good team and have money to employ all these people. Well, at this point, you might say you can just go and work in a studio, like an existing one. That's a good option. But I think I want to be in something more innovative. I want to be involved in the creation of a new studio that does work in a different way. I think there's a lot to be improved, especially for the artists. I just think there should be an animation studio that makes art not for business but for the people. Art that really can be appreciated and enjoyed, and art that is also appreciated and enjoyed by the artists themselves, and does cause good. Because I feel that there are many movies that actually cause bad things, you know, they teach children maybe bad things. But we can't do anything about it because they sell, so they will still be produced because it sells. But if an animation studio was not driven by money, I think they could be making their decisions wiser. So I kind of think I should found my own thing in that sense as a conclusion. But then how do I get all that money? And the only real answer to that is, well, slowly. I don't really think that I mean, there is the traditional way of, you know, getting investors and everything, and I'm studying business at the moment, in fact, so I should be learning those techniques too, but I just feel like that's nothing I want to be betting on. It's kind of difficult, and again, you're getting into business, you will have to make profit and all of that. So, well, I guess the answer is just slow growth, as in, you know, I'm starting out here on YouTube, very small. I'm really happy for all your support and especially on Patreon. Like, people are being so generous. I'm just super thankful to everyone, and everybody watching on YouTube here too. It helps me out so much. Eventually, this whole thing on YouTube will allow me to make it happen as well. So it's really huge and very important to me. And eventually, I guess through the small growth, at some point I'll be able to make enough money for my own living. At some point I'll make enough for 2 people to live off. That's the point where I will be able to employ someone. So the goal is never to really make more than I need as in financial matter. The goal is to make so much money that, you know, you can hire another person, involve another person, and make more projects. And I really hope that at some point in 10 years, in 15 years, in 20 years, it will get to that point. And then it would be nice to see like a whole bunch of great projects coming from that group of artists. And then I think all together we can make projects that people will really enjoy, and projects that will really make the life of people better for both the artists and the audience. And so that's kind of, it all started with this one comment, right? If it is my hobby or work. So right now I can't really call it a work because I can't even pay my own living from what I'm doing here. I'm still very happy that my parents support me in my life here. But eventually I hope it to grow, and I hope to make it my business. Cover up, thanks for joining the stream. Have a good day. Alright, let's move on though. Thanks for enjoying the stream. My advice for beginners wanting to get into 3D. Let's see. I will get to it in a minute, okay? Let me just concentrate for a second because I need to bring in a few other objects. Always requires some concentration. I'm thinking of bringing in the head and the hair from the other model and then starting on the clothes, because that's more what I want to work on right now. In order to do so, I make only the hair, I select only the head here in this subtool. I go back to this one, go to append, and then I append this head. Let's position it quickly. I won't be using the color for now, so I'll turn that off. And we'll be adjusting the head a little bit too before moving on. Is that about right? I think that looks good. Let's get the hair too. And the eyes. Oh, there's so many parts I should have taken in. Let's do it differently then. I won't be overriding this file, so let's just merge these subtools together, and then I will just copy them all together to the other file. So I merge visible, and then I have it as a separate tool, so now I can go back here and append this whole thing. And there we go. It's actually quite difficult to work and talk at the same time. And I find that with music as well, music in particular. For those of you who play an instrument, have you ever tried playing an instrument and doing work at the same time? Well, it's almost impossible for me at least. Alright, there we go. Okay, then with that out of the way, I think I can move on talking. Now it's less concentration needed. Advice for beginners in 3D. I would say that be prepared for a really long adventure when you get into art. And don't expect too much, because I found one thing through my many years of doing this. You lose motivation when your expectations are when you don't meet your expectations. So you, by all means, avoid getting your expectations up too high and then not reaching those. It is good to challenge you, but always accept your failures, almost like expect them, and think of the failures as something positive. If you start to think of your progress as something that has to be achieved, and you cannot move on if you fail and stuff like that, you'll meet lots of demotivation and it will be very difficult. So get into a situation first of all that allows you to just enjoy art and 3D modeling. That's also why, by the way, during high school and generally education, that's actually one of the best moments to do and learn these kind of things, because you don't have any huge responsibilities. So it's not like you won't be able to make a living if you don't succeed in 3D modeling right away. I guess for university that doesn't really apply anymore, because people are starting to get nervous about what do I do for employment. But at least while you're in high school, most people don't have that struggle right away. So use the time that you still have, your freedom, and learn it in that time. And then be strategic about it. I mean, I really like this kind of equation that I heard on, there's this channel on YouTube, what was it, Bobby Chu, who interviews artists from Schoolism, I think is his site again. And he and his interviewee, they made this formula, this equation that says your skill kind of is being put together by effort times the time you invest times the logic or the thinking that you do. And you need all of them, basically, is what it says. So be prepared to spend a lot of time, be prepared to spend a lot of effort, and always keep thinking, always keep reflecting on how can I move forward. you will need to change your methods on a weekly basis. For example, you think about how can I do characters? One of the answers that you might find is by learning anatomy. So you start learning anatomy and you'll learn from it for sure, but at some point you might reach a point where you're thinking like, okay, this approach helped me, but is there something I can do better? And with that new knowledge, you will be able to find a better method to teach yourself, because your experience allows you to make more educated decisions. And from there, you just move forward. Keep enjoying it. And I think that's the one of the most important things when you're a beginner starting out. Just by all means, don't get your expectations up too high. Always think that your art is not going to be anything great. It's just, just for fun, just for you enjoy it. And because if you expect it to go really bad, it will go better than expected, because you will always do something well in your whole project. And so those things should be the things that should be standing out, and that will keep you motivated. Now I'm really the chat is going way down here. I'm so much behind. I'll be jumping over a few comments here. The transition from Blender to ZBrush was difficult for me, but I think it's worth it. Eventually, the techniques that you can apply in ZBrush are more important. Yeah, by the way, it's 3 AM on my side, so for all of you who are like, oh, I need to sleep, I should be sleeping too. No, actually I'm fine. I just woke up, well, late. Anyways. I have holidays, so that's my excuse. Yeah, animation is also pretty good to impress people. And animation involves all the things, like it involves music, it involves storytelling. So definitely I want to be getting into animation. But by the way, thanks for commenting on the story about the future and everything. This is what my future plan might look like at the moment, but it's important to never be too stubborn on your goals. It's never like, okay, I decided I need to stick with this thought. My plans might be changing again in a year, but they are always improving in my opinion. So kind of connects to the story I did from the beginning. Sorry you missed the start. Feel free to go back. It was very interesting at the beginning. I showed off a bunch of characters. Oh, did someone put a link into the chat? Let me see. Apparently not. Oh, there we go. Increasing motivation. I think in order to stay motivated, you just really being honest with yourself. You need to see a real purpose in your doing. I mean, why do you do characters? Why do you do art? If you cannot with confidence say the answer to that, I think it's going to be very difficult to stay motivated. And answers like because I love characters just don't count, because, well, I could just continue asking then, well, what do you like about characters then? It really needs to connect to something that is really very important in your life, and it must be something that you're willing to work for even if you don't enjoy it. I mean, I'm just giving an example. Imagine your family, the well-being of your family is the most important thing to you. And okay, that doesn't really make much sense, but imagine making characters is the only way to make them happy. And then maybe that would be something that even if you're having a bad day, and even if you don't want to be doing characters, you still remember your family that you want to make happy, and so you'll go and sit down and work on the things that you have to do. I think it's very important to have something like that. And for me, personally, I lost that feeling for a while. That was 2 years ago, when I first went to Japan. Because first, very beginning, at the beginning of my 3D career, kind of, 3D was for me the only thing that allowed me to connect with the people in my classes and such, because I was so average, nobody really was interested in what I was doing. But I then picked up 3D and everybody was so interested and amazed by what I could do. So I was really, like, it was so important to me to continue doing 3D. If I would have not done 3D at that time, that would have meant like a really harsh life in high school. No, it wasn't high school, it was middle school at that time, or beginning of high school maybe. Anyways, so it was very essential for me to continue. But then I went to Japan for exchange and a lot changed, you know. Later on, I changed a lot with like personality wise as well, and I was appreciated just as a person. And there were people who, you know, I just got along with. I wanted to hang out with them and they enjoyed hanging out with me. So I didn't really need it at some point anymore. Yeah, I think just growing up is what happened. People grew up and then it wasn't like materialistic reasons anymore, or I don't know what the reason was in first place. But I had no troubles anymore, so 3 became less relevant at some point. So I changed my mind in many ways, and I found new reasons and motivations to continue. But you see how all of them are very, very essential. Like, you have to continue doing it, whether you like it or not. And if it's such a motivation, then I think you'll be able to do it. But I think you should not force it as well, though. I can imagine that for some people, it might just not be the right thing to do. For some people, the best answer might be to just do something that you actually enjoy, and you know, they might try to force character or 3D modeling onto themselves, and you know, you'll start to think about why it's important, but it still doesn't work. You still don't get the motivation. Then maybe it's just not the right thing. But there is other things, like there is definitely something in your life that you live for. And I think we should all just be doing that one thing that we all want to do, because we'll be succeeding in that the most. And it's scary to make a transition for sure, because you might have skills in something and it's different from that, and all the other things that come in between. But eventually it will pay off if you switch to what really means a lot to you. Again, long story, but very interesting story in my opinion. Let's see. Let me read the comments. Yeah, I hope my thoughts I was able to convey my thoughts properly. Even if I say them, I'm pretty sure in your minds it will be a bit different. But it's okay. That's the best way anyways. Just interpret it in your way. But I think you should just keep thinking and keep searching for better explanations, other ways. Look at other channels, listen to their stories. I really like, for that reason in particular, Bobby Chu's channel, because he's interviewing many professional artists, and many of these stories come from all these artists, basically. ZBrush is a lot. Go look it up. I don't know if I should be talking too much about commissions here. I mean, okay, let me just say, anyone who is interested, feel free to contact me. I'm always available if you send me a mail. Like, I might, well, just give it a try. And I'll be getting back to you, and you can ask me about prices and stuff. I'll be sure to tell you. And it will differ from all the time, like all the time. I can't say now because it will be different in a couple of months again. Anyways, thanks for asking though, I really appreciate it. Oh man, Alexander, Daniel, you have a great skill for rambling on. Perfect streamer. I'm so bad at it, though. That's my honest opinion. I'm seriously bad at communication. You wouldn't believe it. I think YouTube really saves me out of that thing. I mean, I can act on, like, I can talk if I have something to talk about. But if I don't, if I'm just in a random place with random people, I'm so bad at doing conversations. I'll just, like, question the meaning of it too much and then I'll have nothing to say. Anyways, but let's get to your joking aside, exactly. Let's get to your question. Sorry, you asked that before already, didn't you? Somebody asked how I learned anatomy. I kind of forgot answering that. I don't know it in a way that you would expect it. I cannot point out all the muscles to you. But I think I learned it mostly by applying it. So I was modeling faces and I was looking at face anatomy, going back and forth, and doing it over and over. And at some point you'll remember the main simplified shapes. And what else can I say? I will be merging the body, by the way, now, kind of trying to make it less blocky, smooth everything out. But it takes a long time to get comfortable with anatomy. I am still so far away from it myself. But I think applying it a lot is one of the best ways. Or at least while studying it, make drawings of it yourself. Look at it and then look at one specific area that you want to study about. Make the specific area small so that it's not too difficult to learn. Then close your references and draw it from mind. Then go back and compare what you did good and what you could have done better. Consciously let that go through your mind, and then try again after learning how you could have done it better. I think that's pretty much the best way. And I think once you're comfortable with it, that's the time when you should start going more into detail, like what's the name of the bones and the muscles. I don't think it makes much sense to start with the names right off the bat, because names are meaningless if you don't have anything to connect it to. But we can easily start remembering the shapes because we know exactly where they are on a human, and we can relate it to the human shape. And later we can relate the names to the specific shapes that we have learned to be distinctive. I hope that helps a little bit. You have classes at 7 AM and it's 2 AM now and you're looking at the stream. I will be posting the stream, you don't have to force yourself here. Oh wow. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying it. It's alright. Thank you for joining from India. Hi everyone. To Xsense, just curious, are you German? I'm not German, but I'm Austrian, so I speak German. I speak German. I speak German and English and Japanese. I also learned Korean recently, but like just for a semester. I started learning it, but I just think it would require a lot more effort that I was able to invest. So I don't think I will be able to speak. I will probably stop going to that class. I'm very sorry if there is anyone from Korea here. But it was a bit too much. I need to focus on other things. Hello, Albania. It's nice to meet you. Nice to have you back. Oh yeah, Proko's channel is great too for anatomy. It has wonderful explanations to get you like started into a certain area of the body. Yeah, well, my name sounds German, of course. I'm on a tablet, so... But it's not a screen tablet, it's just the Wacom Intuos series. So I guess the question comes up often, should I buy a tablet with screen? They're so expensive, and I was in the same situation. It's just too expensive. I would love to switch to one eventually again. I mean, I had one in the past, but at the moment I can only afford working on a tablet without a screen. But you can still get everything done, so, and you can learn how to work properly on a, even on a tablet without screen, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Chris got aus Japan. Wow, that's interesting. Getting a German greeting out of Japan. I'm very confused. What classes I'm taking, as in... Oh, sorry, you were asking someone else? Was that question for me? No, there is somebody called Jojo. Okay. I want to move on to the clothes in a second here. Actually, I don't have to spend so much time on the anatomy right now. I'm just doing it roughly anyways. The only reason why I'm spending some time on merging the parts is because I will be starting out the cloth from the body geometry. So, so I don't want to have all the seams later on. I'm just getting rid of them early on. And I'm basically just switching between smoothing, and I also like to use the trim dynamic, which helps me polish the surface basically. Okay. Is that really much better than my previous character? Where is it actually? There we go. This is what I have previously modeled, but I was not happy with the proportions. So here is the new character. I think the proportions are better now. Not sure. But okay. I think it would be... Do you guys mind if I just copy the skirt, for example? I feel like if I copied this and adjust it for the other model, it will be a lot easier. Or do you want me to start over so that you can see how I do it? The legs are longer. Yeah, I think they are longer, but I would say they should be. At least in this design, they're very long and thin. I almost think like I should make her a little bit thinner even. I mean, it goes into an unrealistic amount of being thin. I know that, but for this style, it actually is quite important. All right, thanks for proving. I'll go and copy my previous work. That makes it a lot easier. But I have to split it up first. It's all in one mesh, so I'll split to parts. Then I'll have a bunch of subtools, and I want the skirt only, which looks like this. Oh my god. Just this one. I mean, all I did was I took a cylinder or a sphere and I just adjusted it. It's not a big deal, really. I just want to have it easier to start off here. So I will be appending this file here. Great. And now it should turn out better, because now I'll be able to follow the body line with the new proportions. And I just hope it turns out more the way I want this time. Let's get started then. Teach us how to save time. Well, it's funny how it turns out that sculpting is something that where you really build upon your previous successes a lot. Like in painting, you might think, yeah, I guess mostly in painting you have to start over all the time for every artwork because you want everything to be unique. But in 3D, we're being so accurate anyways. It's not about the brush strokes, it's about a very smooth surface finish that just describes the character as good as possible. So spending a lot of time and effort on smaller parts, like a hand, for example, or a body, a simplified body and stuff like that, really helps us to save time in production. That's how I was able to make 5 characters in 1 month. Like this month was so crazy. I showed all the characters at the beginning of the video. I think lots of new people joined the stream recently. Sorry, give me just a second. I want to check something. Okay. Well, let's move on. Hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Okay, let me share another story. I'm really in a talkative mood today, and I'm glad I am. But it's not always like that. That's unfortunate. I'm just struggling with the same things probably most of you struggle with. It's not like it's much different for me. But let's just keep going, everyone. What I was going to say was I have plans to do an event here at my university. I'm working together with some friends here, and we're planning to invite a bunch of great artists eventually to come to university and to give talks about their workflow, their motivation, their life. And that's just the vision, the kind of the goal. Eventually, maybe in 2 years or so, we'll get there, because it will take a while to get all the organizatory things and the members done, like together and everything. We still need a few people to join us. Anyways, but in the process, well, like we were talking about how can we get the members, we kind of need to gather the people in the art communities to bring everybody together who is interested, and to like make them also believe that they want to participate in this project and this effort to invite artists to come here and talk to us. So we wanted to make small events, like little events that are just very casual, that are for artists to come together and to work together. And so that's when I was thinking, how nice would it be if there was something like an art dojo. The thought was basically coming from, think about how much sport clubs do, whatever it is in your country. Wherever people do sport, they're so passionate about it. They're coming together every day in the morning at 5 a.m. to go running. They change their food habits, eating habits, their sleep rhythms, everything just for their sport, and that's so amazing. And one benefit in particular that I find with sport and athletes is that you can go into, well, for martial arts it would be a dojo, but like, I mean, a place where you go and there is a trainer or a coach who can give you feedback and tell you how you're doing. How nice would it be if there was such a thing for art all around the world, like a place where you can always go to, where is the master, where he or she, I should say, can tell you about how to get better, give you good feedback, tell you all the stories about motivation, and give you a reason to come back and to do and work. And you'll also be able to meet people there, so it would be a really nice place. I just thought it was a shame that doesn't exist. So we're just kind of in our project starting something like that. Well, without a master, it's just a meetup basically. But the goal for us is basically to gather the members to do this event where we invite artists to come to university. But that's a quick story. I think making efforts like this is very important too for learning. Even if it doesn't teach me art directly, just me spending time thinking about art is already something important. Oh yeah, I didn't mention. I was using Marvelous Designer previously, but I only used the trial license from them, and unfortunately the 30 days are gone now, so I have no choice but to just model by hand. Marvelous Designer is pretty cool, but I just can't get my hands on it right now. So, but modeling by hand again is actually pretty cool. Like, it's difficult, but you have a lot of control of the style and everything. So I'm enjoying it, regardless of the challenge. Is that fine? I think it looks better, more similar to the concept than the other one. If I was going to rig the character, I would have modeled the skirt more in a, straight and not dynamic pose, but here I want to do more of an, just the character. We could fix that later. I just don't want to make it too stiff. I want to make it a bit more dynamic for now. Do you guys have art clubs or circles in high school or university in your countries? Let me know. Kind of curious. Interesting comment. Sadly, art isn't as spiritual as martial arts. Haven't seen a monk artist that teaches for free these disciplines. Even then, that's an old practice. That's mostly gone now. Money rules the world now. Yeah, that's true. But that would be great, wouldn't it be? I mean, just like the image, the thought of it, the kind of even in a connection that's like spiritual, I feel that it would help art so much. Artists need exactly the same thing for getting good and getting unique results. I'm just fascinated by that idea. That would be amazing. Too bad that it's kind of getting out of, that's kind of an old fashion. It's generally something that I feel sad about. I think we're losing culture in recent years a lot. No matter which country, actually. Maybe it's because we're mixing up so much, which is a good thing. But maybe it's because of the technology. But then actually all of these sound like excuses to me. I think that as an individual myself, I could live a more traditional life without having to give up on technology or everything. And by traditional, I mean just that, what should I say? Appreciating art and culture and all these things. I think appreciation and respect is a big term in the whole thing, but I think the world would be a lot nicer if we still had many of the cultures that seem to be disappearing these days. Let me see. Chewy, by the way, Chewy016. Where are you from? I'm curious, because you mentioned about the convention in your country. Also because you're joining the streams so often. Kind of curious. To Albane Edge, by the way, I think there is actually somebody working on a Blender plugin that does exactly the same kind of approach to Marvelous Designer as a plugin for Blender. You might want to look it up. It's kind of interesting. It's still in development, and buggy, but you can start using it. There are like test builds. Yeah, right. Philippe Andrade. Sorry, I'm bad at pronouncing these names. Yeah, is saying, oh man, Marvelous Designer gave me an itch for learning how to sew, and I'm so the same. When I started working with Marvelous Designer, I actually was thinking, should I become a fashion designer? It sounds so cool, like it sounds so easy almost, but it's actually difficult to come up with good designs. Like, I feel regarding the kind of the, what is it, the culture story from before, even in many of the Asian countries where all this spirituality comes from in particular, in the cities at least, I feel like it's disappearing. It just becomes like a still respected but outdated thing. I feel, at least here from my surroundings in Japan. But but it's still there. It's still there. I just think we should be more conscious about it. And that's one of the reasons why I don't like many of the movies actually that are being published in recent years, because many of the movies that we watch, they teach us that we have to be, what is it? We have to be individualistic. We have to, you know, only believe our, what is it? I don't know. They just make it seem as if it wasn't important. And I'm pretty sure that children watching those movies learn from that. So I feel making movies with a not very pure mindset, well, pure, what's the right word? I don't know, but it's kind of dangerous. It changes our culture a lot. Was that now a bit too easy with my sculpt? I just copied the cloth and it actually fits pretty well. I just have to make it a bit thinner. We're almost there. I could go ahead and add the color back in. I'll do that in a second. I hope Millennium is doing good. I haven't been talking much to anybody recently. I was just really busy with my work project here. It didn't really feel much like streaming, so sorry for that, but I'm pretty sure he's doing well. He's probably busy on his side learning something new. Oh, you're in Malaysia. Malaysia? I was in Malaysia last summer. And sorry, I really feel with you. Being hungry and having an empty refrigerator is horrible. It's so bad. Well, I hope you can fill it soon. Are you sure that this is better than watching a magical girl transformation sequence? Me putting on clothes on this character. What a hilarious comment though. Oh, Abdullah, yeah, I think I remember you. It has been a long time, actually. I think you messaged me once recently, didn't you? I'm very sorry for not being able to come back. I kind of didn't find time in the end. Jojo, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate you for stopping by. Get some sleep. I'm sorry for keeping you awake all this time. Okay. Let's quickly give the body color now. I'm just going to copy the skin tone from the head and fill the object. something like this. Well, I guess as for the body proportion-wise, we did improve a little bit. I still don't think we're close enough to the concept, and that's probably partially because I'm just not focused enough right now on the project. And the faces, I will be working on a face a little bit more like in a second, but the face is a big one that still is untouched. The face looks a bit different, so I'll be working on that in a second. But at least we have everything back in place, so great. Noob Forever, that's for a change an easy to pronounce name. Hello, thank you for joining the stream. And I remember you. Thanks for the comments about you following the tutorial series. You're one of the other people who managed to go through all the 40 parts of the character tutorial. I think you even did both. Am I remembering that correctly? I feel like everybody who goes through this 40-part series literally deserves an award for doing so. Thanks for joining anyways. Yeah, great. Blender Suing. There is this add-on, right? It's quite basic compared to Marvel's Designer, that's true. Alright, let's work on a face. Thanks for the comments, I see. Oh, Chewy, thanks for pointing it out. I'll start to fix what I can do here. In a second. Yeah, sure. The chin is so sharp that it could be used to murder someone. Sure. Okay. Now I made it not sharp. Okay, is that good? No. Anyways, I'll get started here. I'm not quite sure. I think the eyes need to be quite different. It feels so wrong the way I'm approaching this, just like with a big move brush. But we'll get there. I'll hide the hair for a second. Ah, too bad. Wait, I'll have to split a few objects up into different polygroups for a second. I'll again use the auto groups to separate all the objects into different polygroups. And now I can easily hide the hair like this. That makes it very easy to work on everything without modifying the hair. Oh, I see. I actually happened to sculpt on the head when I was working on the hair. That's a shame. But I'm not too concerned about it. I guess it will be fine. I mean, I don't really... I'm not really sure if I'm going to continue to sculpt much further past this point. It's kind of good practice though. That's why I'm kind of being a bit easygoing on a bunch of technical things that I should be paying more attention to actually, if I was doing this properly. It looks weird. The face looks weird. Sorry. I'll read a few comments. Yeah, sharper eyes. I'll try. I think the conversation is suffering because I've talked for 1.5 hours. I told you that my ability of talking about random things is not as good as you might think. Anyways, thanks for your comment. Long silence. I actually really don't know what upsets me so much about this model right now. But it looks somehow really weird. I wish I could go into lower resolution with this sculpt, because like having all the faces smooth makes it very difficult. I feel that the shape is not defined enough, that I need to put some harder edges at the chin in particular at the right spot, but it's hard to point out where exactly that would go. And also the color is kind of distracting. Maybe I should turn it off, but that doesn't really make it better. Let's see. Yeah, I guess there are a bunch of differences still, but it's funny how it appears that the ears start here, but then the ears are actually this big in the back. That looks weird too. Anyways, I think it's fine though. I mean, I'm not super happy, but I guess you get the point. I wanted to show a little bit the process here of how I make the characters. Let's quickly compare it to the previous sculpt that I made. Which one is it again? This one? It looks almost the same. This is the previous one, and the new one is this one here. I guess I just changed that she's a bit thinner now and the legs are a bit different. But I think the stream can come to an end. Sooner or later it has to anyways. It's 3, no, it's actually almost going to be 4 AM here. Maybe I'm just tired too. But I'm still here for like 5 minutes or so. If you want to talk about anything, feel free to send a quick question. In the meantime, I can show you the other drawings that I have here. I'll zoom out if I can. There's like this drawing that I made. I made a version of just the body, but I kind of changed the proportions here, so it's not really the same anymore. Here were also a few other sketches, but again, that was 2 years ago. I was not really able to get the style right on all of them, so I kind of tried to make changes, but here's the big change, right? You know, I went from, okay, that's too young, that's not serious enough, to something more older, I suppose. But then again, the style changed a lot. I will make this big for you. Oh, it won't show up. I'll make it as big as I can. If you want to model with this something, feel free to give it a go. I'll just put it here, make a screenshot. I'll put the other one here. Let me go through the other ones too. Just in case anybody feels like trying to model something. Oh no, I don't want to delete it. And these are just sketches, but I guess they give you a good start for modeling. Yeah, go ahead and make your screenshots. Anyways, let's see. Yeah, sorry. Chewy, thanks for pointing that out. I'm saying I'm not super happy, but actually I feel I really enjoyed sculpting this character. Connecting to the story that I was giving previously, like don't expect too much because you will get demotivated from it. And I think I'm pretty fine in that sense. I really enjoyed the sculpt. I think I learned from it too. It became experience and pretty fine with it. I guess it's just when you show your art to others, other people might need some explanation. But anyways, I'm just out of things to talk. That's all there is, I guess. Speaking of, yeah, I will take a rest for 2 or 3 days now because I've been working for 3 weeks now, daily, literally getting up, sitting down in front of ZBrush, modeling the characters that I was doing for this job for 10 hours with, well, short breaks in between, and then I would go to sleep. So I've been doing a lot of 3D this week. I showed all the characters at the beginning of the stream, right? That's everything from 1 month, basically. I don't know about this Steve on Kickstarter for animation. That sounds interesting. I'll check it out later. Oh, and the reason why I was saying before about I really understand what it's like to have an empty refrigerator. The university that I'm at happens to be at the top of the mountain, and there's only one bus that costs you, well, if you know how much yen is worth, it's about 300 yen one way. So you spend as much as, what should I compare it with? You can buy like 2 packs of chicken for the price of just going to the supermarket here. So all students here that live up here on the mountain only go downtown maybe, well, as few times as possible if they want to save money. So I go only twice a month, and so I will come up with like bags full of groceries, and then I run out of them eventually. So that's the sad part, and then I have to go again, but then I'm lazy, you know, and I'm trying to push it out, so I'm eating like whatever is left. Anyways, I think everybody's kind of getting tired here too. Oh, Vasily, sorry for... I'm already at the end of the sculpt. I'm so happy to see you being around here. We should talk again sometime soon. But I was actually just about to stop the stream. Yeah, sorry guys. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for joining in, and yeah, sorry. See you guys. Bye bye.